Yeah, it's been great. The last 2 years have been a whirlwind, taking on so many new projects and new challenges. When I think about some of our most successful engagements, there was work that we started, over a year ago, where we've had time to actually get something in production and see it have a lasting impact. So we've gotten to do some work with the Pocono Mountain Visitors Bureau. We got to take 25 different data sources, some of which they'd never even had the opportunity to use before. Others that were buried deep in some custom, SaaS tool portal that you weren't even allowed to export your own data for. And we were able to take ownership, give them ownership of their data, and then turn that into not only the stuff I care about, which is that infrastructure data lake that's going to allow them to ask questions, but actually turn it into decision making. So now we have a live dashboard that's integrated into their website so their users can see what's going on, the work that they're doing. And we're actually helping to take their very significant marketing budget across their own linear TV station and, seven-figure, pre-purchase reservations for digital marketing and ads. And we're actually helping them adjust who they're talking to, when and where they're talking to them, and we're starting to see the early returns of the actual numbers and figures on where people are coming from when they're visiting the Poconos. We're able to see when we move these marketing dollars towards the personas that we saw in the data, we're actually starting to see this compounding result. You're starting to see this building of interest and attention and then activity, and in the next year, we're super excited to see where that keeps going.
Yeah, all of our customers are focused on not just spending money on IT, but the results that they're going to get from that project. And for some customers, it's saving money. For some customers, it's streamlining a workflow and reducing labor time. For others, it's understanding, what kind of customers are walking in the door of their shop or their operations. In some places, they want to get better data, out to their field users, sitting in a squad car, for example. And so all the ROI that we measure ourselves on is really based on, that should be our starting point of the discussion with the customer, is what do you want your end user to get out of whatever their IT project might be for that particular effort. Because if you don't start with that, then essentially you could just have a never-ending IT project just going and going and going. And then we can measure ourselves on that success. So if it reduces labor time by 30% because we automated something and it cost them some, measurable amount of money to pay us to do that project, then obviously there's a certain period of time where they're going to recoup that investment. Or if we're getting better data out into the hands of, folks in the field that are looking to integrate, 40 different SaaS platforms that they can't currently do because they have to log in a bunch of different systems at the same time. If that helps them make a decision more quickly and they can, reduce that by half the time, that's the ROI that we want to be able to track. Because ultimately, paying a company, hiring a company like us, that's going to help enable the types of services that AWS does. That's just the means to an end. The end is really how do we ensure that we're getting to the customer outcome that they're looking for.
Yep, and it feels automatic. It feels silly to say, make sure you're asking the customer what they want to get out of this. But
sure.
It's so many times that's not the case with a consultant group you might bring in, and it's not always the natural go-to for engineers. My team, we're always working on that. We're trying to say, do we understand the why here? Because you can make an engineering decision. It can be realistic or oftentimes very rational and pragmatic. You can read the documentation, you can take an action, and the thing will work. But when we reset and we say why are we installing it this way? Is this leading towards that ultimate answer? I always like when we get to say hey, that would work, but actually I have a new idea when an engineer comes and says, actually, if they really want this is what we should do, and we should go talk to them about that. And those are those little sparks, and they seem silly, they seem automatic, but they really aren't, and it's something that we're really proud of when those moments happen, and it contributes exactly to a successful engagement versus something that might work but fall short. I think that's a big difference maker for us.
One project that I can recall was we had a customer that was paying an exorbitant amount of money for a third-party software tool that they wanted to basically recreate and build themselves using AWS. And ultimately, we ended up deploying a data lake for them. It took their costs and their licensing fees, cut them literally down to many hundreds of dollars. Yeah. But from going from a six-figure software license down to a very small AWS bill every month was a huge outcome for them, because one, it allowed them to be more flexible, with the data sources that they're bringing into their data lake and start to take control of that and not pay for example, just because they had more data coming in. But it also made a very, they had to pay obviously to make that transition, and there was some in-between time to get everything migrated. But once they made that switch, their licensing fees for a third-party software tool went away, which saved them an immense amount of money.
Yeah, I'm always really proud of that one too, because that was a marketing agency that had thousands of accounts in it. It's an immense system, and they had really smart engineers and technical team members and leadership that would meet with us on a weekly basis for more than a year while we put this together. And we always love to work with our partners for as long as as long as that makes sense. But you know what, like, in a really positive way, oftentimes people ask us when they're doing sales, they're like, and what happens after you run the project? And we say, hey, well, we're gonna sit with you. We're gonna spend the next 6 months, we call it our managed services. We're gonna take care of the system. We're gonna be there when you put it into use, you need a tweak or a change. And we're able to do that for them. And now we also help to educate them on this system so they have ownership of their data, but also this process. So they no longer have a licensing fee, and now their own internal team has complete control, and they're building on top of what we built for that next generation. And that's actually something we're really proud of. We want that to be a great outcome for our teams. So that's something that is a great one to bring up.
Oftentimes our most successful customer engagements are those that, like that, you finish phase 1 and then they say, wow, this was great. Let's go on to phase 2 and 3 and 4. And they see the promise of what could be done.
Yeah.
So you're right. We try to, get to a point where we hand everything off and the contract, might be over and the engagement over. But many times what happens is the customers come back and say, well, we could do this now, or, we can add this AI tool on top of that, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, just keeps getting better and better.
Yep.